Welcome, everyone. It's fantastic to have the board all together for this. Let's just jump right in, shall we? I want to start with a quote that, well, it pretty much hits the nail on the head regarding where we're at right now. In 2012, La Masia was our philosophy. Today, it is our survival. Just kind of let that sink in for a second. What used to be the crowning jewel, the absolute philosophical peak of our golden era, it's literally morphed into the very shield keeping us alive and competitive today. So that brings us to the whole purpose of today's explainer. Think of this as a strategic briefing on our reliance on homegrown talent. We're going to trace the Academy's evolution, starting from those crazy, dizzying heights back in 2012, all the way to the intense, high-pressure cooker that is 2024. For you, as directors, grasping the real return on investment of our youth setup isn't just about patting ourselves on the back for past glories. No, it's absolutely crucial for navigating the operational and tactical minefield we're currently walking through. Okay, let's take a super quick look at the roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the 2012 Golden Benchmark, right? Then we'll look at the regulatory threats we've faced, check out the Masia 360 evolution, and then dive into Hansi Flick's current youth revolution. After that, we'll break down the tactical shifts over the years, and finally wrap up with how all this sustains the club's future. All right, Section 1, the 2012 Golden Benchmark, and that legendary 11 from La Masia match. Let's rewind the clock for a minute back to November 25th, 2012. We're playing Levante. About 15 minutes in, Dani Alves picks up an injury, right? So Martin Montoya subs in. And with that single kind of forced change, Tito Villanova suddenly fielded a total masterpiece. 11 guys on the pitch at the exact same time, all nurtured entirely in our La Masia facility. I mean, listen to this list. Valdez, Piqué, Puyol, Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, Messi. Just wow, it was a massive milestone in football history. But, and here's the crucial context for us today, having that lineup, it was a total luxury. These weren't raw kids. These were seasoned global superstars with Champions League rings who had literally grown up playing together. Moving on to Section 2, regulatory threats and pressures, basically the journey from the 2014 bans to the sanctions we see today. So, as we all know, that golden era didn't exist in a vacuum. It got disrupted pretty quickly by some major external threats. Let's compare the hurdles from a decade ago with what we're facing right now. Back in 2014, we got hit with a massive crisis. FIFA slapped us with a 14-month transfer ban and a £306,000 fine. This was over a breach of Article 19, which dealt with the international transfer of minors. It was a huge wake-up call, right? The global spotlight was suddenly zeroing in on youth recruitment. Now, fast forward to 2024. The threat isn't just regulatory anymore. Actually, it's way more immediate. It's physical and financial. We've literally just dealt with 8 major first-team injuries at the exact same time, all while navigating really strict financial constraints. So whereas 2014 restricted our youth intake, our reality in 2024 is forcing us to rely almost entirely on the youth we already have in the building. Okay, Section 3, the Masia 360 evolution and how we actually went about rebuilding the foundation. Look, to survive those mounting global pressures we just talked about, we knew we had to evolve. Proactively, we couldn't just sit still. So we transitioned from the iconic but, let's be honest, quite limited 300-year-old original farmhouse to a £9 million state-of-the-art facility that can comfortably house 85 players. But we didn't just, upgrade the bricks and mortar. We fundamentally shifted our entire approach to player care. We had to build a system to shield our future performance against the exact kinds of crises we're living through right now. And that physical upgrade, it came with a massive philosophical shift called Masia 360. See, in the past, our medical, physical, and psych departments, they basically acted like isolated islands. Honestly, sometimes they communicated less than rival clubs do. Masia 360 built bridges between all of them. We don't just treat a player's hamstring in a vacuum anymore, completely separated from their mental health. We use a totally interdisciplinary approach now. Doctors, physios, psychologists, nutritionists, they're meeting every single day. So if a kid is flagging for chronic fatigue, it's not just the doctor looking at it. The technical analysts and the strength coaches are right there, adjusting workloads holistically. We are treating the entire athlete. Now, to pull off that level of holistic care, we lean heavily on our bespoke core data system. Core stands for connaissement, which is knowledge, organization, and rendement, performance. We've partnered with some top-tier tech firms to use WIMU GPS tracking on our youth squads. Every single sprint, every bit of metabolic load, every high-speed run is logged from minute 1. And why do we go to all that trouble?
Well, think about it. A youth player is naturally going to be technically inferior to a veteran first-teamer, right? Which means they tend to compensate by just running way more, which obviously spikes their injury risk. The core system builds an athlete-specific fitness profile, which basically lets us see around corners and prevent injuries before they even happen. It's a real game changer.
Which brings us to Section 4, Hansi Flick's Youth Revolution. This is where necessity meets absolute trust.
The contrast here is honestly staggering, and it perfectly illustrates how management styles are dictated by the era. Remember Tito Villanova in 2012? Like we said, he managed a completed masterpiece of established global stars. He had that luxury. Now look at Hansi Flick. He walked into a perfect storm of injuries and really tight financial limitations. But, and this is the key, his response wasn't to panic. His response was to trust. Flick is out there boldly throwing raw, rapid-rise teenagers, guys like Bernal, Casado, and Cuenca, straight into the absolute fire of high-stakes matches. Yes, it's a revolution born out of sheer necessity, but it is entirely sustained by his absolute trust in the Academy's prep work. Now, I really want this next number to sink in. 65.2%. Back in 2012, we threw a massive celebration for having 100% of our 11 guys on the pitch from the Academy at one specific time. Well, today, 65.2% of our entire squad list against Getafe and Osasuna this season were Academy players. That is 15 out of 23 players on the list. We aren't just sprinkling one or two kids into the lineup for some early round cup match. Over 65% of the squad responsible for dragging us through our current La Liga campaign came directly from our own farmhouse. That's wild. And when you dig into the squad selection data, it goes even deeper. Flick isn't just chucking kids in to start matches just so the seniors can get a rest. No, he is increasingly relying on them to finish and actually close out these really tough games. Take a look at this. Against Valencia, we started with 5 homegrown players and finished with 3. Okay, fair enough. But look at Villarreal and Osasuna. We finished those games with 7 homegrown players on the pitch. Think about what that says. Flick trusts these young guys to hold the line when the pressure is at its absolute maximum. All right, Section 5, tactical shifts, then, first now, and how our DNA has had to adapt to the modern game. So you're probably wondering, how on earth do these teenagers just step into the first team without missing a beat? It all comes down to the methodology. While the famous positional play of 2012 was all about dominating the ball, the modern game today demands extreme high-intensity work when you don't have it. Enter the 3-second rule. This is a foundational pillar that is drilled into every single youth player. It's the absolute immediate switch in collective behavior to aggressively hunt and win back the ball within 3 seconds of losing it. That single rule is the bridge. It connects the beautiful technical elegance of our 2012 era right to the fierce, high-pressing reality of Flick's 2024 system. And that seamlessly links up with our other really specific internal training metrics. We teach them 3-part thinking, meaning they are constantly calculating their actions before, during, and after possession, all at the same time. We relentlessly drill ball control with the further leg, so these kids can instantly open up the pitch for their next pass. Oh, and we strictly enforce that the short pass is the absolute first option for our goalkeepers, just to guarantee controlled play development right from the back. So by the time these teenagers finally reach Hansi Flick, they're already speaking the exact same tactical language as the seasoned veterans. Let's head into our final part, Section 6, sustaining our club's future, and how La Masia basically acts as our ultimate performance shield. As we look ahead, we've got to remember that throwing teenagers into the deep end of professional, high-stakes football is a massive burden on them. Psychological integration is absolutely just as critical as physical development. Period. Our academy makes sure to surround these kids with mentors and psychologists literally from the moment they walk through the doors. We're assessing their home life, their fears, their capacity to shoulder the immense pressure of wearing our crest while being expected to go out there and win immediately. We are not just building footballers here, people. We are building resilient young adults who can walk onto a pitch in front of 80,000 screaming fans and not just completely freeze up. And that right there is the true protective shield of La Masia. So that leaves us with one final, incredibly crucial question for the board to chew on. How do we balance the immense, totally unforgiving pressure of winning immediate trophies with the patient integration of our next generation? Back in 2012, La Masia gave us a beautiful luxury. Today, it provides our actual survival. The challenge for us now is making absolutely sure that the foundation we're laying right now under Hansi Flick becomes the brand new benchmark for the next decade. Thank you all so much for your time, and I am really looking forward to exploring these strategies further with you.